Party of One is heralded by many as Season 1's best episode. And while that's totally not true, it's easy to see why many feel that's the case. This episode does so many things right, it's kind of ridiculous. It's just an insanely enjoyable 22 minutes. See what I did there? Insane. Shut up. Right at the beginning, you can tell that it's going to be great. They totally take Pinky's character and just completely run with it, turning her zaniness up to 11. The gags from all the characters in this episode are fantastic, from the excuses the Remain 5 come up with to get out of Gummy's after party, to the reactions from Pinkie Pie upon hearing said excuses.
Okie dokie Loki.
There's that crazy disguise she uses when following them around, and of course the iconic breaking down scene when Pinkie Pie loses it and throws a party with inanimate objects. But of course, we all already know about these points. There was something else in this episode that I really liked as well, however. What made me really like this episode was the subtle subversion of expectation that was going on. It starts off with Pinky throwing a party, and then immediately throwing another party. All of Pinky's friends decline, and Pinky begins to wonder why that is. Now, this seems like it could be that her friends are just partied out at this point. They just had a huge all-day bash with Pinkie Pie the previous day after all, so it wouldn't be a stretch to think that none of them are up for doing it all over again. This concept is reinforced by all the cast politely turning down Pinky's request to stay at her place longer the night before. They all just seem beat. So the episode seems to be trying to imply that the Remain 5 could only take so much Pinkie Pie in one sitting, and that's why they're dodging her second invitation the next morning. But then, the episode turns that around and makes it very clear that this is not the case. The rest of the cast doesn't want to be with Pinky, but it's because they're all busy doing something else. And by the end of the episode, it's clear their motivations were completely opposite the initial impression. They actually wanted to be with Pinkie Pie even more, and really wanted to make sure that they were doing so under the correct pretense. This wasn't a huge part of the episode, but it was something I really appreciated, as Pinky has a very overbearing personality. And it's been shown before in other episodes that, yeah, there are times when the rest of the cast has trouble handling Pinkie Pie and her antics, and are quick to dismiss her when she gets a bit zany. Storm of the Century, anyone? Yet here, it's shown that the group really does love Pinkie Pie, and value her and her friendship just as much as she does theirs. They've been planning her party for a long time now, so that means they went into Gummy's party knowing they'd be doing it all over again the next day, yet they go through with it anyways because they know how much it would mean to Pinkie Pie. Another interesting tidbit is the look into Pinkie Pie's psyche that this episode provides. There are two bits of interesting information here that show Pinkie Pie as destructively altruistic. The first is how Pinkie Pie seems to forget her own birthday. Pinky has been shown to remember lots of random facts and information, often paradoxically so, to the point where, albeit being later in the series, she knows the birthday of every last resident in Ponyville. So, how could she forget her own? Simple. Hyper-altruism. Pinky is a character that seems to put zero value into herself, or, at the very least, ignores herself in light in putting such a greater value in the state of her friends and their well-being. Sure, she enjoys having fun and goes out of her way to do so, but it's more about enjoying the experience and making herself personally feel better. What Pinky truly enjoys is making others happy. She has shown time and time again, and admits to it herself, that a smile on her friends' faces is all she needs to be happy. She remembers the birth dates of everyone in Ponyville because those events are important to her, but forgets her own because its relevance in her own mind is comparatively menial. This point is actually reinforced by the second piece of evidence concerning Pinky's altruism, her mental breakdown in the second half of the episode. While at first glance, her friend's rejection would make it seem that Pinkie Pie does place some value in herself, I'd argue that it's actually the opposite. The fact that Pinky's entire perception of herself is constituted solely by how her friends perceive her shows that, again, her own sense of self-worth is derived from how well she is enriching the lives of others. She has no sense of inherent self-worth because it's shown that she has nothing to fall back on when she thinks her friends have abandoned her, instead descending into madness. It's things like this that really make me interested in Pinkie Pie as a character. I mentioned it before in Swarm of the Century, but I can't help but think that Pinkie Pie is hiding a lot of complexity beneath her zany antics, and I'd love to see some exploration as to what makes her really tick.
When I was a little silly and the sun was going down, the darkness and the shadows, they would always make me frown. Pinky, you gotta shut up the call. When you face your fears, you'll see that they can hurt you, just laugh to make them depressed. You've been lying to me and avoiding me all day! Yeah. We've been planning this party for such a long time.
If this is a birthday party, why does the cake I picked up from Sugar Cube Corner say, "Farewell, Pinkie Pie"?
All right, girls, enough of this gammon. Let's party!
Princess Celestia. Never expect the best from your friends, and always assume the worst.